The screaming tears through the basement just before dawn. Raw, furious, desperate. Amara Lewis freezes on the concrete stairs, fingers twisting into her diner apron, heart slamming so violently it steals her breath. Someone is begging in Korean. Someone is laughing. She should turn back. She knows that. Instead, she pushes the door open. Chains rattle. Blood darkens the floor. A man is shackled to the wall. Tall even on his knees, face swollen and brutalized, his torn suit whispering that he once belonged to power. One eye is nearly shut. The other lifts to her, sharp despite the pain. "Leave," he rasps. Not a plea, a warning. Footsteps thunder overhead. Amara moves on instinct, grabbing rusted metal, hands shaking as she wedges it into the concrete bolts. The door above slams. Voices shout. A gun cocks. The shot explodes through the room. She throws herself in front of him without thinking. Sirens scream in the distance. Later, much later, when she's dragging his bleeding body into the gray morning light, he finally speaks again. "Yunjae," he says, voice low, dangerous even broken. "If you stay, they will hunt you." Amara doesn't let go. Because walking away would kill him, and saving him might destroy her entire life. Subscribe to Love and Loyalties before the truth changes everything. Thus, the sirens grow louder as Amara drags Hyunjae down the alley, his weight pulling against her arms, blood slick on her hands. Every step feels impossible. Every breath burns. "Police," he murmurs, barely conscious. "They will separate us." "I know." She snaps, panic sharpening her voice. "Just keep moving." She doesn't think. Thinking would freeze her. Thinking would make her let go. They reach the car because luck, cruel, reckless luck, decides to favor her for once. Hyunjae fumbles weakly at his jacket, producing a key taped inside the lining like he planned for betrayal long before it arrived. That should scare her. It doesn't. He collapses into the passenger seat, head lolling back, breath shallow. Amara slides behind the wheel, hands trembling as she drives into traffic, just as police lights flood the street behind them. Only when they're 3 blocks away does she realize what she's done. She has abducted a wounded man. She has fled an active crime scene. She has chosen him. Her apartment is too small for secrets. The moment she locks the door behind them, reality crashes in. The place smells like cheap detergent and burnt coffee. A single mattress on the floor. A cracked mirror. Bills stacked neatly on the counter like accusations. Hyunjae opens his eyes slowly, taking it all in. "This is where you live," he says, not judging, observing. "Yes," Amara replies, bracing for something, mockery, pity, disbelief. He says none of it. She cleans his wounds with shaking hands, biting back fear as she realizes how bad it is. Broken ribs. Deep bruising. A concussion. He should be in a hospital. He cannot go to a hospital. "They will find me," he says quietly. "And if they do, they will kill you for helping." Her hands pause. "Who are they?" she asks. For the first time, his gaze sharpens fully, pain momentarily forgotten. "My enemies." She exhales a humorless laugh. That's not an answer. He studies her, as if recalculating. Then he tells the truth. "I run the Kang organization," he says. "West Coast operations." The words hang heavy in the room. Mafia boss. The man bleeding onto her towels is not a victim dragged into darkness. He is the darkness other men fear. Amara straightens slowly. "You should have told me. You wouldn't have helped me." She hates that he's right. Before she can respond, his phone vibrates. Once, twice, again. He answers in Korean, his voice changing mid-sentence. Lower, colder, absolute. Whatever weakness he had dissolves. Amara watches the transformation with a tightening chest, as he issues commands, demands locations, confirms loyalties. This is not a man surviving by luck. This is a king clawing his way back to his throne. When the call ends, silence rushes in. "They're coming," he says. "My people." Her pulse spikes. "No. It is not a request. That's my apartment. And it is no longer safe." She steps back, crossing her arms. "You don't get to order me around just because you're dangerous." His gaze flicks to her. Surprised. Amused. Something else she can't name. You are involved now, he says calmly. Whether you like it or not. That was your choice. No. He corrects. That was yours. The words hit harder than any accusation. Hours later, exhaustion drags at her limbs. Her phone buzzes. Her boss leaving another voicemail she won't answer. Life doesn't pause just because she saved a criminal king. She sits on the edge of the mattress while Hyun-jae watches her from the couch. Why? He asks suddenly. She doesn't pretend not to understand. Because I heard someone screaming. That is not enough. It was from me. He nods slowly, as if storing that answer somewhere dangerous. There's a knock at the door. 3 sharp raps. Hyun-jae rises despite her protest, moving on instinct. The men outside are efficient, silent, eyes scanning her like she's both fragile and explosive. One bows to Hyun-jae. Another looks at Amara. She must be relocated, the man says. Immediately, her stomach drops. I'm not going anywhere. Hyun-jae meets her gaze. You are. For how long? He doesn't hesitate. Until this war is over. Her voice trembles, not with fear, but fury. You don't get to cage me because you're afraid. I get to keep you alive, he says softly. Even if you hate me for it. She realizes then that this is his love language, protection sharpened into control. And the most terrifying part, he genuinely believes he's doing the right thing. As the door opens and the night swallows her small life whole, Amara understands the truth too late. Saving him was only the beginning. The safe house doesn't look like a prison. That's the problem. Glass walls, soft lighting, a view of the city stretching endlessly below, as if freedom is right there, close enough to mock her. Everything smells expensive and untouched, like no one actually lives here. Guards stand quietly in corners, invisible until she remembers they're watching. Amara presses her palm against the window, staring down at a city she can't reach. You're safe. They keep telling her. But safety shouldn't feel this lonely. The rules are simple and endless. She can't leave alone. She can't answer unknown calls. She can't open the door herself. And worst of all, she can't see him. Hyun-jae is recovering somewhere else. A private facility. Armed doctors. Armed men. Armed silence. But his presence is everywhere. Her phone buzzes late that night. Hyun-jae, did you eat? She scoffs aloud before typing back. Amara, I'm not a child. The reply comes almost instantly. Hyun-jae, you haven't answered. She hesitates, then types. Amara, yes. 3 dots appear. Disappear. Appear again. Hyun-jae, good. That single word irritates her more than it should. The next morning, she wakes to fresh groceries already stocked. Her favorite fruit sitting neatly on the counter. She didn't tell anyone what she liked. That unsettles her. Later that afternoon he calls. His voice is stronger now. Still low, still controlled, but no longer fractured by pain. You tried to open the balcony door, he says. Her spine straightens. Are you watching me? A pause. Then honesty. I am informed. That's not better. You are under threat. So is my freedom. Silence stretches between them, heavy and charged. You saved my life, he says finally. That matters to me. She laughs, sharp and humorless. Does it? Because this doesn't feel like gratitude. It feels like ownership. The word hangs there. He exhales slowly. You don't understand my world. Then stop forcing me to live in it. Another pause. When he speaks again, something shifts, just slightly. You speak to me like I'm human, he says. Most people don't. That's because most people don't chain bleeding men to walls. She snaps. Or rescue them. That earns a quiet sound from him. Not a laugh. Something softer. Days pass like this. Calls, messages, carefully measured distance. He never raises his voice. Never threatens. Never apologizes either. They circle each other with words. She challenges him openly. About control, about fear, about the way his men flinch when he speaks. He counters with logic, strategy, realism. He tells her how many times kindness has been used against him. How betrayal wears familiar faces. You don't trust anyone, she says one night. I trust outcomes. That sounds lonely. The line goes quiet long enough that she wonders if she crossed something dangerous. When he finally speaks, his voice is lower, stripped of armor. It is. That's when it changes. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but something unspoken slips between them. Their conversations stretch longer, drift from survival into fragments of who they are. She tells him about her father, how he died saving someone because he couldn't look away. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't analyze. He listens. He tells her nothing about his childhood. But one night, when the rain lashes against the glass walls and thunder shakes the city, he admits something small. I learned early that attachment is a weakness, he says. And yet, she replies quietly, you're attached to the woman who yelled at you in her kitchen. A beat. I am aware of the irony. She smiles before she can stop herself. He hears it. Don't do that, he says. Do what? Smile like that. Why? Because I can't see it. And somehow, that makes it worse. The guards watch her more closely now. She notices the glances exchanged when she passes. The tension that tightens the room whenever his name comes up. Something is wrong. One evening, she wanders closer to the office wing. Somewhere she's been told she doesn't need to go. Voices drift through the partially open door. Korean, sharp, controlled. She knows too much, one man says. She was never supposed to stay. Another replies. The boss was clear. Amara's breath catches. How long? Long enough for him to stabilize. After that, the voice lowers. She doesn't hear the rest. She doesn't need to. Her chest tightens as understanding settles like ice. She was never a guest. She was a contingency. She backs away silently, heart pounding, mind racing. That night, Hyun-jae calls again. You're quiet, he says. She swallows hard. Am I? Yes. She wants to scream, to accuse, to demand answers. Instead, she asks the one question that matters. When this is over, do I leave? The pause is longer than any before it. Dangerously long. When he finally speaks, his voice is careful, measured. We will discuss it. Her grip tightens on the phone. In that moment, Amara understands the truth she's been avoiding. She didn't just step into his world. She stepped into something that might never let her go. And the man she's starting to care about, he might be the one holding the door closed. Amara doesn't sleep. The walls of the safe house feel closer now, the silence heavier, like it's pressing against her chest. Every polished surface reflects a version of herself she barely recognizes. Well, fed, well, guarded, and quietly imprisoned. Her phone buzzes just after dawn. Hyun-jae, we need to talk. She almost laughs. Fine. She whispers to the empty room. Let's talk. They meet in the private conference room overlooking the city. Floor, to ceiling glass. Long marble table. Guards stationed far enough to pretend privacy exists. Hyun-jae is standing when she enters. He looks better. Too much better. The bruises have faded. His posture is straight again, shoulders squared like the world bends when he moves. Power clings to him now, visible, unmistakable. It makes her chest ache in a way she hates. You investigated me, she says, skipping every courtesy. His jaw tightens. Yet just like that. No denial, no softening. When, she demands. The moment I could walk, he answers. Before I could even hold a weapon again. Her breath stutters. So while I was arguing with myself about whether I'd ruined my life for you, you were running background checks. In my world, he says calmly, kindness is never free. That's not an explanation. That's an excuse. He steps closer. You walked into a basement and chose to save a man you didn't know. That doesn't happen without motive. My motive was that you were bleeding. She snaps. In chains. And that is exactly why I couldn't trust it. The words slice deeper than she expects. So my freedom, she says slowly, was always conditional. He doesn't answer immediately. Which is answer enough. Her voice rises, sharp and clear, echoing through the glass room. You didn't protect me. You managed me. That is not true. You decided when I could leave, who I could speak to. What I could know. She steps closer now, refusing to shrink. You turned my life into a chessboard and never told me I was a piece. The guards shift uncomfortably. UThe exhales, something dark flickering across his expression. I did what I had to do. No, she says. You did what made you feel safe. Silence crashes between them. Then he does something she doesn't expect. He looks away. When I was 19, he says quietly, I trusted someone. Her anger hesitates. A woman I loved, he continues. She learned my weaknesses. Memorized them. Sold them. Amara's chest tightens. She gave my enemies names, schedules, faces. They slaughtered 3 people to get to me. His voice doesn't shake. But something behind it fractures. After that, I learned control is the only form of mercy. She swallows. So you decided never to be vulnerable again. I decided never to be stupid again. She shakes her head. You don't get to call love stupidity just because it hurt you. His gaze snaps back to hers, sharp. You think I don't know what I'm risking with you? Then stop risking me without my consent. The room feels too small for their breathing. I cared whether you lived or died, she says, voice breaking despite herself. And you turned that into leverage. That was never my intention. But it was the result. She steps back, something inside her hardening. I'm leaving. No, he says instantly. Too fast. She laughs bitterly. See, that right there. You don't ask. You decide. You are still in danger. Then let me choose it. I can't. Then you don't get me. The words land heavy, final. He opens his mouth. Maybe to argue, maybe to plead. But she doesn't give him the chance. I don't want your money, she says. Voice steady now. I don't want your protection. I don't want your apologies wrapped in power. She reaches into her bag, pulls out the spare phone he gave her, and places it on the table between them. I want my life back. She walks past him without another glance. The city greets her harsh and loud. Traffic, heat, chaos. No guards, no walls. Just risk and reality. She breathes it in like freedom. The attack comes at dusk. She's halfway down a crowded sidewalk when a black car slows beside her. The windows are tinted too dark. The street noise dims. Her instincts screaming too late. A hand grabs her arm. She fights. Hard. Nails, knees, fury. A voice snarls in accented English. You should have stayed hidden. She breaks free just as a gun flashes. A shot cracks the air. People scream. She stumbles backward, heart pounding, vision blurring. And then the car speeds away. Amara stands shaking, untouched, but marked. Across the city, UThe receives the call. His world goes cold. The war he tried to keep from her has found her anyway, and this time, he has no control over what comes next. UThe does not sleep the night Amara is attacked. He stands in the war room, long after the city quiets, jacket discarded, hands braced against the table as screens replay footage from a dozen angles. The moment she stumbles, the flash of a gun, the chaos, she survived, barely, and it happened because he let her walk away unprotected. Not out of respect, but pride. That truth settles deep and merciless. Bring them in, he says quietly. By dawn, the room is full. Men who have stood beside him for years. Allies who once swore loyalty in blood and contracts. Faces he has trusted with secrets, rotes, names. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't have to. The order to track Amara Lewis, he says evenly, came from inside this organization. A murmur ripples through the room. One man stiffens. UThe turns his head slowly. You. The traitor denies it. Of course he does. Claims necessity, claims fear, claims he was protecting the business. UThe listens without expression. Then he does something that sends a shock through everyone present. He releases the evidence publicly. Names. Accounts. Everything. Alliances collapse in real time. Phones buzz. Partners withdraw. Enemies scramble. Someone whispers, "You're destroying your own power." UThe finally looks up. No, he says. I'm redefining it. By nightfall, the traitor is gone. The rival organization exposed. The message unmistakable: anyone who touches her touches the king himself. But that isn't the hardest part. The hardest part is what comes next. Amara stands on the steps of the courthouse 2 days later, hands clenched at her sides, jaw set. Cameras flash. Reporters shout questions she refuses to answer. She didn't come for him. She came to reclaim herself. When the crowd parts, a hush ripples outward. UThe steps into view. No guards flanking him, no wall of power. Just a man in a dark suit walking toward the woman he wronged. Where everyone can see. Her breath catches despite herself. He stops 3 feet away. "Amara Lewis," he says clearly. She lifts her chin. "What do you want?" His voice carries, steady, unshielded. "To apologize. Without conditions." A murmur runs through the crowd. "I took away your choices," he continues. "I told myself it was protection, but it was fear. Mine." Her throat tightens. "I exposed you to danger," he says, eyes never leaving hers. "Not because you disobeyed me, but because I couldn't accept a world where you weren't under my control." Silence presses down. Then, slowly, deliberately, UThe kneels. Gasps erupt. Cameras click furiously. He lowers himself on one knee on the cold stone steps, in full view of enemies, allies, and the world that fears him. "This is not a claim," he says. "It is a surrender." Amara's hands tremble. "I don't want to cage you," he continues. "I want to stand beside you. Only if you choose me freely." He reaches into his pocket and places a small envelope on the ground between them. Inside are documents. Safe routes, new identities. Money she could never spend in a lifetime. "Take it," he says. "Or don't. Leave, stay, walk away forever." He meets her eyes, vulnerable in a way power never taught him. "But know this. I will protect you whether you belong to me or not." The crowd holds its breath. Amara looks down at the envelope. Then she steps forward and pushes it back toward him with her foot. "I don't want an escape plan," she says clearly. "I want honesty." He nods once. "I don't want protection that costs my voice." "You will never be silent again," he says immediately. She studies him, really studies him, for the first time without fear clouding her sight. "This only works," she says slowly, "if I can leave whenever I want." His answer comes without hesitation. "Then it works." She exhales, something inside her finally loosening. "I choose you," she says, not softly, not loudly, but with certainty. "Not because I need you, but because you finally saw me." UThe rises, eyes shining with something dangerously close to awe. He reaches for her hand, but stops, waiting. She takes it herself. The crowd erupts. And for the first time in his life, UThe doesn't feel like a king winning a war. He feels like a man who earned his place beside the woman who changed everything. Time doesn't erase what happened, but it softens the sharpest edges. The city still hums outside their windows, restless and loud, but inside the house they chose together, there is calm. No guards at the door, no hidden cameras, no rules written in fear, just space. Amara learns the rhythm of peace slowly. Mornings without checking exits, nights without listening for footsteps. She keeps her job, by choice this time, and UThe never interferes, never questions why she wants her own money, her own name, her own life. He watches her reclaim herself with something close to reverence. She still challenges him. When he grows too quiet, she calls him out. When old instincts rise, control dressed as concern, she names it. He listens, every time. And when danger flickers at the edges of his world, he shields her without closing his hand around her throat or her future. Protection without possession. Strength without chains. Some evenings, they sit on the balcony in silence, the city lights blinking below like distant stars. UThe rests his arm along the back of her chair, never pulling her closer unless she leans in first. She always notices. "You're different," she tells him once. "So are you," he replies. She smiles. "I was always like this. You just didn't know how to see me yet." He accepts that truth without defense. Their love isn't loud. It isn't desperate. It doesn't need witnesses. It's built in small moments. Shared meals, Honest arguments, laughter that surprises them both. In the way he trusts her with decisions he once would have made alone. In the way she chooses him every day, not because she must, but because she wants to. Love, she learns, isn't proven by sacrifice alone. It's proven by respect. And loyalty isn't obedience. It's the decision to stand beside someone without losing yourself. As the city sleeps beneath them, Amara rests her head on Hyunjae's shoulder, knowing this peace was not given. It was earned. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to Love and Loyalties and comment which couple you want next.